You're listening to Podcast PXN,
a video game podcast
delivering player experience news.
Let's go!
What's up, guys, and welcome to Podcast PXN, episode 203. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM on Twitter, and I am joined over Discord by the Nintendo aficionado and artist extraordinaire, Roshan Warner, at Roro.
Hello.
Hello. The host of Large Popcorn and video essayist, Christian Macias, at ISO Christian.
Did everyone know Dan hates me and considered firing me from PXN?
That is not true at all, because the postage people decided not to fucking send it. Forget it.
Whatever you said.
Forget it. The Tarkov Teletubby, DMZ Daddy, Battlefield Bad Boy, whatever you want to call yourself, Gage Dempster at Gilbo Biggins.
What's up? Aliens are real.
Apparently hates you too, man. The way he just rushed through your intro. I wouldn't have done that to you.
I know the intro. You did all of the intro, and then at the end it was like, or whatever. But it's like you already did the intro. I thought, what does this mean, Dan? Does this mean anything?
I added an extra one. I gave you 3 names. I only gave them 2 names, so that should make you feel more special, right?
I'm pretty sure our podcast.
I would like to change. I do feel more special, actually.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gage, for rocking some blue merch. Dan is over there wearing red, the opposite of blue.
Right.
And not
how
really.
How can you be wearing red right now, Dan?
Because I went to a Reds game, that's in the name.
Well, this podcast is blue.
Yeah, Dan, this podcast is blue.
All right, well, I'll be back. Just kidding, I'm not.
Take it off.
Fuck you.
And now we get to the meat of the problem, which is what Christian wants you to take your shirt off.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone watching us live and participating in the chat. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com/@podcastpxn and twitch.tv/podcastpxn as well. Guys, the topic of the show this week is our discussion surrounding acquisitions and if multiplayer helps people get acquired. I don't know. We'll find out soon enough. But first, the show always starts with the quick bites, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Of course, Dan's hosting. Here we are. Halo news. Cyber Showdown 2 began yesterday with another free event pass, but more in-depth details of today's update, which is a big mid-season update that has dropped for Halo Infinite. They are releasing Dredge, which is a reimagination of Halo Reach's Countdown map, and numerous community-requested updates are now live as well, including improved Pelican drops in BTB, Fireteam priority in BTB, that should have been done a while ago, but anyways, that's good. Extermination medal being added for all modes, respawn camera control, so you can turn the respawn camera now like you could in previous games. There is a water plane for foragers that will react to gunshots and vehicles and such, although there is a bug with it that they're working on, but that's been added as well. And stability improvements across the board. Good stuff. Mid-season update. Let's go. Anyways.
Hell yeah.
All right. Some... I guess okay stuff, not necessarily good stuff. Movie TV adaptation check-in here. We've got some reviews hitting, and I just wanted to point this one out again because it has fallen below 70 again. Twisted Metal at a 68%. I know Christian bet his life that it was going to be higher than the Halo TV. That was definitely quoted. That was verbatim.
We have never referenced this outside of that one live stream we made. It's all been online on our private chat, so we should explain this.
We made I guess a joking bet or whatever that Twisted Metal, I don't know, not super serious bet that Twisted Metal would not do better, or I thought it would not do better than the Halo TV series, and Christian said the opposite, and here we are.
Christian said, I bet a case of beer from 7-Eleven that...
Yeah.
Hey. All right, we got our jokes in earlier.
Yeah.
It's too far.
That's a cut to the pre-show. You got to watch live for the pre-show.
Yeah. I almost died.
True.
And it may or may not have involved 30-something beers.
Also, Gran Turismo is sitting at a 61% on Rotten Tomatoes. I will also want to point out the official title on Rotten Tomatoes is Gran Turismo, based on a true story. I don't know if that's the actual full title, but I'm like, why is that part of the title?
Oh my god!
If it is, we're carried away because I saw a trailer for the Continental, and it appears that the Continental, the full title is The Continental: A Story from the Universe of John Wick. We're getting carried away with the subtitles, guys. We need to dial it back a bit if that's actually legit. And if Gran Turismo is actually called Gran Turismo based on a true story, come on.
That's hilarious.
Dial it back a bit.
It's on the poster.
Yeah, but you would think it'd be the tagline and not the title of the movie.
Exactly, right. Tagline as opposed to a subtitle. Yeah. Right.
First of all, the fall of Neil Blomkamp is real, unfortunately, but it's happening. It's happening. Second, if it is based on true story, I did see people saying that the people that did see it, critics and whatnot, are saying that they omitted the part where the real life guy killed someone in a race. Yeah, like because of a car accident.
Okay. Oh, okay. I was gonna say, well,
yeah, it was but like they just kind of omit that from the actual like events of the story. So it's not, based on a true story with an asterisk. There's some stuff missing from the context of him going from gamer to racer.
I also saw a lot of people saying that it's basically just a giant ad for Gran Turismo, like the game. I'm like,
yeah,
what the fuck?
Yeah. And lastly, Letterboxd enjoyers like myself will notice that one of the posters that you could choose for Gran Turismo is now gone, and that was the poster that said "From Gamer to Racist."
Oh, what the fuck?
Whoops, that's an entirely different movie, but I'm sure it's on the way.
Mm-hmm. That's just real life.
Yeah, based on a true story.
That's just what
Incredible. I mean, awful, but incredible.
Crazy.
That's a funny joke.
There's another movie/gaming story with Sonic 3 with the SAG-AFTRA stuff. They're still continuing filming Sonic 3, just focusing on the CGI scenes without the actors to ensure it meets its 2024 release date, which is, I guess, good, but also bad that they're just
those are scabs, bro.
Yeah, that's not good. That's bad, and it could lead to a rush product and a really crappy one. Not that these films are anything Oscar worthy, but not good.
That's super unfortunate. I feel really bad for those VFX artists who are stuck between a rock and a hard place between putting food on their table and working on the Sonic movie, and obviously probably not wanting to, because VFX artists are like probably the next big industry to strike, because they're also mistreated to an insane amount. So
I'm glad you said that, because some VFX studios are moving to unionize currently.
Yes, sir.
The Marvel.
Yeah.
The Marvel.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool.
Remember Secret Wars? No, just kidding. No one does, because no one watched it.
Well, I did, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately. Anyways, moving on. I thought this was interesting. Lords of the Fallen is the IGN first right now for IGN, so this comes from them. There's an interesting Umbral realm mechanic that is in the game. Obviously, these games aren't really catered towards me with being a Souls-like, but I thought this was very interesting, so I'll read a couple of paragraphs here. At the heart of Lords of the Fallen is the existence of two parallel realms, the realm of the living, Axiom, and the realm of the dead, Umbral. What makes them special in gameplay is the ability of the player to both reach across and fully transition between those two realms. But there's a lot more to Umbral than just a Stranger Things-esque upside-down dimension with creepy tendrils and eyeballs following you wherever you go. So let's raise our lamps into the unknown. So another paragraph here kind of describes some of the things that you'll see. When your character begins their journey, they'll be given the Umbral Lamp, which is your bridge between the realms of Axiom and Umbral. While you're in Axiom, you can open up a window into Umbral by holding up the lamp, allowing you to peer into the parallel world and potentially spot interesting differences or pathways that may provide you with a clue as to where to go. Some gates may impede your progress in Axiom, but when you hold up your lamp, you'll find that in Umbral, no such gate exists. What may be a gap between platforms in the realm of the living may have solid footing in the realm of the dead. So that's just one of the mechanics in terms of seeing two different areas. But there's also combat. The duality of the realms of the living and the dead also comes into play during combat. Your lamp is able to do more than just provide a window into the realm. It's also able to literally rip the souls right out of enemies for a short period of time, allowing you to bypass their physical form and deal damage directly to their soul. There's a lot more in here, but like there's some very fascinating stuff I feel like that they're doing with this game that I thought was very cool. So if you want to read the whole thing, then go to IGN and check out that IGN first. But
this means you're going to play it? Oh, go ahead, bro.
I was going to say the Umbral thing, the lamp thing reminds me of Rift Apart with the rifts, I guess. It's kind of cool. Which is, I think, okay, we have this story here, which I was like, imagine if what's its name? Insomniac just patented that idea so no one else can do it. Little tease for later.
Oh, okay. So you also... Is that story in there? Because I was also writing this in there.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, I think
yes, it's in the news of the week. Yes.
Got it. Deleting.
I added it to there when I saw that come in because I was like, what?
Oh, silly.
Yeah.
So that means you're going to play Lords of the Fallen, Dan.
Yeah, probably not. But I think
Lords of the Fallen is also co-op, is it not? Or is that my completely off base?
If it's co-op and it comes to Game Pass, I'll play this with Dan.
I'm not sure if
I could have sworn I saw somewhere that had 3-player co-op, but if not, I'm totally off. If it is, though, I was gonna say I'd be willing to give this a shot. But
are you sure? Totally are you sure? Wrong. Maybe you'll say you'll play this, and then the weekend rolls around, and I'll text you saying, "Hey, Dave, you ready to play?" And then you won't respond for days.
Oh,
I was asleep. Okay, I am hanging on by a thread. My what's it called? Your cardiac rhythm, whatever. It's the
arrhythmia.
Clock. All right, we don't have to. Oh yes, circadian rhythm.
Circadian rhythm, brother. It is an EDM show right now.
Just kiss me.
Lords of the Fallen does have both online PvP and online co-op modes. Apparently, you can experience single-player campaign alone or invite a second player to join your adventure. An online co-op.
Oh yeah.
We should be playing Baldur's Gate 3.
No, we shouldn't.
That's a discussion later. Okay, fuck it. We're gonna just say this now then. Right. Baldur's Gate 3, guys. I wanted to get your impressions.
I'm sorry.
Or if anyone was excited. No, you're fine. You're fine. Anyone's excited about this game? There's a lot of buzz going around. Seeing a lot of genitalia discussion.
A lot of dorks excited about it.
It is now the highest rated game on Metacritic by 1 point. It was tied with Tears of the Kingdom, and then it moved up 1 point. So from 96 to 97 of all time, Baldur's Gate 3. I've played a couple of D&D games, like, actual D&D in my past. Not many, but a few, and some one-offs. It's always a lot of fun. I'm not super into point and click kind of isometric games. That's my issue with Baldur's Gate 3. Like, I don't know if I could sustain that for that long unless I'm with a friend. And I know it is co-op. And honestly, I kind of like the randomness. I like how in-depth the character creation is. I've seen enough TikTok clips to be like, you know what? This could be fun. My only problem is that I have a current backlog of Final Fantasy 16 that I still haven't beat, and I have Armored Core just around the corner that I want to get balls deep into. So Baldur's Gate 3 is like 100, like whatever, triple-digit hours. I just can't commit myself to that right now.
Now, when you say balls deep, do you mean balls deep A or balls deep B? Because there's different ones.
E. Do the dicks have foreskin?
I don't know. I haven't seen them.
Baldur's Gate 3 dick foreskin. Someone else talk while I research.
Okay.
Christian's
Only if you have the
researching
high
important
res
news.
texture pack installed.
Wow, incredible. How much detail do you want in your genitalia on Baldur's Gate 3?
Apparently penises C and D used to clip through the clothing on a specific clothing. They just patched that.
Perfect.
Oh, good.
I was really worried they weren't going to patch that, but I'm glad,
Oh my God.
that they did.
That is good. That is your own. That is like one of the highest things on your priority list, though. That means the game's good. I hope.
Yeah, in serious commentary, like it's interesting because this is the intrinsic problem I think with review scores is like, is this game a game that is equally as revolutionary as Tears of the Kingdom, or is it a game that just has that score because of what it does what it does, and it does it so well without any extra bloat or something like that? Where that, to me, that seems to be what this is. Like, this isn't, I don't think this is going to be a game that's going to convert the masses, that everybody's going to play this. I still think you have to be a certain type of player to enjoy this. Because like Christian said, like, I've tried to get into like turn-based character RPGs before, and it doesn't really sustain me for long. So when I see the scores of this game, it makes me very, very excited for the people who already like this. And it seems to be that me looking at these scores, what I get is like, okay, this is the best of this type of game that's ever been made. And in regards to this type of game, it's perfect. There's nothing to complain about, and the devs nailed it, and they hit it out of the park. So in terms of that sort of perspective, I'm very, very happy for the people who enjoy this type of stuff. And it's cool to see devs, like, I don't play the game, I don't really follow it, but I've been seeing them tweet about it and stuff like that, and the fact that they're committed to no predatory practices or any extra bloat or microtransactions and all that stuff. Really, really cool to see that at a game of this caliber in the limelight.
Yeah, I agree, Gage. I think it's definitely more niche than like Breath of, or Tears of the Kingdom or something like that. But like, I don't necessarily, I wouldn't say that it doesn't have as big of an impact necessarily. I would say that, you know, you've got different genres out there, like the Soulsborne games, like that will never appeal to me, but like it's still like very impactful. Like some of those games like Elden Ring are just like insanely impactful. But yeah, the whole dice rolling thing, I'm just like, all right, I don't really care for.
I just let me slash the sword. I want to chop that guy in the head.
The dice rolling is great. That's part of it. That's
I understand,
the fun.
but it's not for me.
But that's not for me. Yeah,
I have a sword in my hand, and I would like to.
Have you seen the clip of the squirrel? You know what I mean? Like if you roll too high,
that's hilarious.
It is funny. Yeah,
that you just punt the squirrel into oblivion. That is that's quite funny. I do like kicking squirrels. That's true.
Don't tell PETA.
It is kind of a bit. I will say, the most viral clips I've seen of this game for people trying to entice people to play it is either screwing animals or beating them. And hey, you guys enjoy your thing. It's whatever. Do your thing. Not for me personally, but live your life.
I don't think the bear was an actual like real bear. I think it was like some kind of race that like transformed into a bear. Like Zeus. Zeus transforming into animals to fuck.
She's not an actual 13-year-old. She's a 1,000-year-old.
Right. No one is saying that. No one is saying that.
All right.
Jesus. We're never gonna get sponsored.
We have a sponsor, Man Meat.
Oh
Use code Daniel Printle at your local.
No, it does not
Walgreens.
work.
Yeah. Everyone remember the name Daniel Prindle and bestiality.
Yeah. Exactly.
Lord.
Lois Griffin. Fuck out of here.
That was good. You like that one, huh?
Yeah. PETA. All right. 8-Bit Do has a device that allows you to play PlayStation 2 with a PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. The 8-Bit Do retro receiver for PlayStation is a little wireless receiver with the same gray color as the PlayStation 1 that connects to the controller port on the front of the PS1 and PS2. The device will be able to link modern controllers using Bluetooth. However, the device includes a USB-C port, allowing an option to establish a wired connection between the gamepad and either console. Very cool.
What is this thing? Can I like torrent games on it, or what is this? What is this 8-Bit Duo? 8-Bit Do. 8-Bit Do.
What does it 8-Bit Duo do?
Biba doobie.
It makes you. Yeah, I don't know if I would use this. Would you?
I don't own a PlayStation.
I think it's cool though.
Yeah, I don't own
What
a
is it?
PlayStation 2 or a PlayStation.
It lets you use old controllers on PS5.
Was Christian sleeping when I just?
No. It lets you play PS2 with your PS5 DualSense. It's the opposite, bro.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah,
I was also confused with the wording.
So like if I had a PS2 console,
correct.
I would plug that in, and then I could use a PS5 dual. Gotcha. Okay.
That's
I
kind of
understand.
cool, actually.
That was the opposite of what I thought it was.
Oh, okay. I poorly
Yeah.
explained that then.
No, I don't think so.
I apologize.
Neat.
Right.
That is cool.
I can't lean back in my chair, man, and like it's hot. It's like 83 degrees in my house.
Yeah, thankfully, it's not here anymore. All right. Makarov has returned, revealed in a new Modern Warfare 3 teaser coming November 10th. I guess the judge was wrong. It's not coming December. It's November 10th, as pretty much it normally does. There we go.
Is anyone picking up Modern Warfare 3? Let's be real.
Me, probably, if I'm being honest. I don't want to. I don't want
Wow.
to.
Wow.
But I think I'm back in the cycle now. I was out for a few years. I was out. I was telling everyone to stay away, and now I can feel it. I can feel it in my bones. I'm probably gonna buy it. There's gonna be something stupid, like a campaign trailer, or they'll bring zombies to Modern Warfare for the first time. They'll do something, and it'll be like enough for me to go, okay, all right, well, I'll do it. And
like
you all
that
should shame me
guy-
for it. You all should shame me for it.
Yeah. I will, and I will.
Please do. I'm asking for
Well,
you to do
to
that
be
right now.
to be fair, we haven't actually seen what this game is yet, so like I don't think it's fair to.
I don't even care.
It won't be
Okay.
worth it, Dan. Dan, it won't be
Me
worth
too.
it. Shame me.
I'm not.
Shame me.
I'm not here to judge until I see what the game is. I'm not gonna judge it until I see what it actually is. And I'm not. I wasn't as big on Modern Warfare 2 as you guys were, but I still enjoyed my time with it. But yeah, I'm willing to give it a fair shot and see what it actually is, and see if it is more expansive than what the rumors were of just being basically an expansion.
No Russian.
Remember, no Russian.
No Rocam.
No.
I'm back.
All right. Moving on to Gage's favorite news story here. He loves this. Battlefield devs have commented on specialists that were originally in the game. And here's the entire quote here. When we look back at the data and when we really started moving forward with introducing the class systems, one of the big things we really started to understand was that a lot of our issues came from the fact that players didn't understand how the specialists were supposed to work. And if you don't understand how something is supposed to work, of course you believe that the old way is better. Feedback from players was really good around this, so we had to find a way to give them what they wanted, but still allow us the freedom and flexibility that we originally wanted to. So there was some scuttlebutt surrounding this. Gage, I know you have thoughts.
I do. And first of all, I would like to concede that I understand what you're trying to say, but the problem is that this is a negative statement disguised as a neutral statement, because they say in the same statement that players don't understand it. However, we got really useful feedback. Well, how does that work? The feedback was useful, but the players didn't understand it. So then the feedback shouldn't be useful. It should have either. They're not saying one way or the other. And I just think if we were to, this is more for me and you, because you and I are both big Halo people. I know everybody else isn't, but if we knew the next Halo was coming and there was a blog post and they said, listen, the thing we found out about codings was that, people just didn't really understand them. So of course, with codings, if you don't understand the new way, the old way is going to seem better. If that was released, I think the inclination would be, oh shit, they're sticking to codings, which is why there was scuttlebutt about the specialists, because this statement, why are you even talking about the fact that people maybe misunderstood it? Because you're probably bringing them back. Nobody misunderstood specialists. It's not rocket science. Instead of having classes that are customizable, you now have individual characters with quirks. There's nothing to misunderstand. It was clear from the get-go. People were like, oh, this isn't what we want. We don't want 16 of the same people running around triggering the same voice lines, especially in a game when you have 128 players. So yes, I guess I agree to disagree in advance, but I think this is pretty telling that they're going to stick to their way, and that Battlefield is DICE specifically, or Ripple Effect, whatever they're called now. They have a history of doing this, kind of similar to the whole 343 debacle of like, oh, we've learned, and next time we'll do. DICE has repeatedly kind of slightly been condescending in their sort of autopsies of the games that this is nothing new. So I don't know. I think the scuttlebutt's a bit more warranted than maybe you guys do, but maybe I'm reading into it too negatively. But I don't know. To me,
I'm with you.
This seems like they're tipping their hand and trying to prepare people that hey, specialists, you guys didn't understand them, so don't freak out when next time they're here again as well.
They released a game that was like so antithetical to what people wanted and liked about Battlefield, and like they gave their response and feedback to that and saying we don't like these things, and they were trying to like revert back to like kind of older Battlefield stuff. I mean, it took a while to add the scoreboard, right? And then they come out with an article that says like basically like, oh, you guys just didn't get it, insinuating that that they are coming back. And it's like not every game has to be like Call of Duty. You don't have to have the specialist thing. And it's why BattleBit is so popular. Right, because you have like the classic Battlefield formula, right, and that gunplay. You have your 4 classes, and you go from there.
And that's a great example because BattleBit is like probably what people would want from the next Call of Duty in terms of like you pick your generic character, and then from there it's like, oh, you can change out the hats, you can change out the uniform pattern, you can change out this, but like still it's a blank slate, and I think that's what people kind of want from the next Battlefield. And it's just the specific specialist character thing. It does seem very lazy to me because it's like, oh, that's what Call of Duty's doing. They have operators, so let's just do that, and then we can release a new one with every battle pass, and it'll be like having a new character. And it's like, yeah, but I mean, even if you just had these blank slate characters that you can customize, you could still add armor packs and stuff. Like I don't know. It just seems like it's something that they're looking at the competition, which happens in every industry. DC does this with Marvel all the time. They're looking at what's working for the competition, and they're like, let's artificially inject that into our game that has no basis for it. I don't know. That's just my opinion, though. Daniel, what do you think?
I mean, first off, I think oftentimes my opinion gets misinterpreted as if like I'm defending like the decisions that they made, and that's not what I'm saying. I just read this and I take it as a more positive spin on it. I don't read this and assume that they meant negative intent from the get-go. And I'm not implying that you are, by the way. I don't mean to phrase it that way.
Right.
But like I am reading this as them saying, we wanted to try something new for Battlefield. Like Battlefield has a long storied history, like you were just saying. Like we wanted to try something new and see if it would be something cool that fans would like. And it didn't really work, and we heard that feedback from fans saying that it didn't work, and they actually implemented, to their credit, they implemented all the changes to make it right. And I don't see them just 180ing on the next game and saying, oh yeah, we're going back to specialists because everyone just didn't understand it last time. I don't think that's what they're saying here. I think they're just saying like our vision of what we thought this was didn't really get received well because maybe people didn't understand what we were going for. That's the impression that I took from that. So
but why is the onus then on us to like understand what they were going for?
I don't think that's I personally I think that's reading into it. I don't think that that's what they're saying. I think that honestly this quote very well could have been taken out of literally anything and extrapolated and said, and even like that's this fair. Person that's quoting the specific part highlights the bad part, and it's like, yeah, if you take that part out, it absolutely sounds awful, and I would think the same thing. But like in my eyes, like reading the entire quote that's here, I don't personally see it as like they're just like basically blowing fans off. But I mean, everyone's entitled to see it differently. Like that's totally fair to have that impression as well. So
right. Well,
we should all be more like Roe.
We'll have to see. Yeah.
Oh my God. Just don't play Battlefield. That's
just that. You know what? You'll save yourself a lot of heartache if you just don't play Battlefield. That's true.
But he plays.
Bro, I bought it
Bit.
Twice. Oh
I
yeah,
played it once. Had a good time though.
Let's tap in.
Oh yeah. All right. Some sad news here. EA is closing down servers for Crysis 3, Dante's Inferno, and Dead Space 2. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. Moving on. Discord and Xbox will be expanding their partnership by offering the ability to stream your games from console straight to Discord. Very cool addition. I'm sure eventually we will see it on PlayStation as well, but that is a very cool addition for people who want that.
I hope Nintendo gets on this train eventually with the next Switch or something. I don't hold out hope, but
No,
that
they
would
will
be
not.
they will not because of their
Given this
their
news story we have.
audience. Right. God. Yeah, it'd just be so cool if they caught up in the times in that regard. Like, I don't know. It'd just be cool. But yeah,
No,
probably not gonna
don't
do
you
that.
think it's cooler to download an app on your phone if you want
Right? Yeah.
to interact with anyone
That
online?
is definitely. Yeah.
Shan, why have one device that can do two things when you can have two devices that each do one thing?
Independently.
That's a great question. Yeah, they should patent that. It's so good.
They have for like 100 years. It's called capitalism.
God.
All right. Killer Instinct, guys, the game we've all been waiting. No, I'm just kidding. Is getting a free 10th anniversary update later this year, including a balance update, improved matchmaking, and 4K support for Series S and X. Thought this was pretty cool because that game came out 10 years ago on Xbox One, and of course, it's coming from Iron Galaxy, who got all the shit for the Uncharted.
Ruined The Last of Us.
Or I'm sorry, Last of Us.
port.
Last of Us port, yeah.
Sorry, yes.
Oh, the PC port. Yeah.
Yeah. Rules.
More on PC ports later.
That is cool that they're still supporting it. There's so many fighting games that every time there's like a small update, I always see like a bunch of people in the comments. Granted, I don't even know what this means, but they're always like netcode something about the netcode. They're always complaining about like, please fix the netcode, and they never do. But it's cool that Killer Instinct is listening to their fans and they're doing something about those sort of things.
Oh yeah. All right. Moving to our last quick bite, Street Fighter 6, speaking of fighting games, has a $15 TMNT costume that you can buy, and that's for each turtle, $15 each. And the way that you get them will actually cost you more. Each DLC costume costs 750 fighter coins, or roughly $15. As is the video game premium currency way, which that's very true, a lot of games do this, you can't buy 750 fighter coins exactly. You need to buy 610 for $12, and then an extra 250 for $5. If you want all four costumes, you'll need 3,000 fighter coins. The cheapest way to buy that amount is to fork out $50 for 2,750 coins and $5 for 250.
I didn't know Bungie was in charge of Street Fighter 6's.
Jesus.
Bro, are you a fighter coin or are you a lover coin, do you think?
Nice. Nice.
Okay, in terms of I mean, we are in the era of insufferable monetization of video games, but in terms of all the fake currencies I've ever heard, fighter coin sounds fucking metal. I want to play a game that has fighter coins in it, dude.
Oh my god. No. There's a comment below here that says for $60 you could just buy another fighting game, and the response to that is maybe this one being Injustice 2, which has them Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the game. It's just like that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't believe Dan is going to spend $20 just to play Raph. Yeah.
Right, just to get the Raphael skin.
His favorite. His little face.
Fucking asshole.
I saw the TMNT movie today, actually.
Oh.
And it was pretty good.
The Aki way.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just gotta say, every time somebody says that you're Raphael, you respond with Raphael behavior. I'm really sorry.
You know, Gage,
I just gotta say it.
With
Oh,
Leo.
You just gave him the finger, and that's not what a leader would do.
Yeah,
So-
okay. A leader wins, Gage.
Bro, I would have gone to see that movie with you if I could.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I will be seeing Spider-Man soon. Finally, I bought it on digital.
Finally.
All right, there's too many weird little changes they've been doing across these versions of the movie. You know what I
Very
mean? Like the
strange.
digital version is just like almost inferior at this point. They just like remove so many things, like little small lines and stuff. All right, what are we doing here? What are we doing here, Phil Lord?
It's weird. I watched it. I rewatched it yesterday with the digital thing coming on. I was like, wait a second. I thought he said something here. Just didn't say anything. Yeah. I still love it. It's awesome.
Not my Spider-Man.
Sure. Nope. Nope. That's not a good one. That's not a good joke.
They took that out of the movie. Yeah. Missed that line.
All right, street meets, guys. I threw this in here. Sony's financial documents for this fiscal year has indicated some first-party games could be getting delayed. In their forecast, they put here impact of changes in the launch dates of a portion of first-party titles, which is interesting because we don't really have many first-party titles that are in this fiscal year outside of Spider-Man. So I'm wondering what these games are.
Dude, I am such a hypocritical piece of shit because, yeah. All right, Gage, hold on. Let me explain before you start
agree.
to
Like, yes, that's correct. Continue.
Yeah, because I'm always like, hell yeah, dude. Like, fuck AAA video games. Like, play more indies, and like, I want smaller games that like are shorter and like look uglier because like that's just a healthier environment that I want to be supporting. But then I'm also like, at the same breath, I'm like, oh man, I bought like this $500 machine that like, has sparse games and they're not like very well utilized. This like new hardware. And it's like, okay, well, I at least want to know what the rest of the catalog is looking like. At least let me know what I have to look forward to.
You can want both. I think that's a fair.
I was gonna say, oftentimes everything is nuanced. Nothing is black and white. Everything's gray. There's a bit of both. You can definitely, because I echo that. Right, there's so many indie games that I even myself that I didn't pay attention to, and like finally deciding to play Hades, and it's one of my favorite games of all time. So like, there's that. But it's a balance because you are buying a machine from a company that has put money into this machine, is expecting you to buy it. So then you also expect some level of support from it. So I don't think it's hypocritical to want both and to expect that the company that made the box is going to then provide software to justify the box existence. The onus should not be on independent studios.
Sure.
You know what, Gage? That's such a good point. That everything is everything is gray, including your webcam.
Ooh.
Gage, I think you look good.
No, I'm kidding.
Very
it
Raphael
looks
thing
good
to do, man.
It looks
good today.
Yes.
Asterisk, exactly.
I had to
right,
put
today.
that joke in there.
I'm not inside the sun.
All right.
Now you said you're gonna go see Spider-Man. Are you gonna go see Snorenheimer too, or no?
Well, Spider-Man's in my home because I bought it on digital, but I would like to see Oppenheimer, but I may have to see
Just
that solo.
Just go.
Go see
It's
it in
fine.
theaters. Go see it in theaters. I can tell you right now, the movie's not going to hit the same when you're watching it on the TV.
I was told that about Mission Impossible and all kinds of other things that Christian said.
Mission Impossible will absolutely hit the same. That's ridiculous.
And I enjoyed them same.
You know what? Hold on, I'll say this. Paramount does it right, where like they did the IMAX ratio for Mission Impossible Fallout on like streaming services. So when it goes to the IMAX, it's like expanding in real time, and that's cool. That's a cool moment to have at home.
Yes,
that's pretty cool.
Agreed. All right, moving into the PXN news of the week. Nintendo is gonna patent literally everything and sue the out of you if you use their patents. Apparently, Tears of the Kingdom has seemingly become the focus of a new wave of Nintendo patents. Nintendo has made public a slew of patents seemingly related to the abilities and design features from The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, including aspects of Link's Ultra Hand abilities, loading screens, NPC moves, and more. According to an article from Automaton, the Japanese gaming giant has put a grand total of 31 patents linked to Tears of the Kingdom in recent weeks. Some of the patents seem to indirectly address a number of Link's newfound Zonai powers. One of those powers is literally just building shit, which you do in fucking Banjo-Kazooie. Should they fucking have, patented that ability?
Hey, One of the things on that list was standing on a ledge.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. This is insane, dude.
Stupid. I mean,
I almost feel like there needs to be, I don't know, because I mean, I feel like this is the problem with video games, and it's almost like a self-contained problem, because a part of me realizes this entire industry is like, this is a hobby. This is not like a basic life need that everyone needs. So you can only take it so seriously. But the fact that it is entertainment, I feel like sometimes there's like certain laws and regulations that are just, again, nobody in government is necessarily thinking about video games in this way. But it's like, how can you patent, or how can there even be precedent to even file a patent on like an artistic? It's almost like patenting like a camera angle for film or something like that. Like, it's like there's got to be a level of barrier where it's like, okay, you can patent like engine software things because that's software, but at a certain point within software, it's like, okay, now we're in the realm of art, and like because you decided to do something a certain way. Like, I even feel this way for what was it? Warner Brothers with they tried to patent something with the Nemesis system, right? Something like that, where it's like, okay, this isn't even like necessarily engine software. This is an idea. Like, you're calling it a system, and that sounds good legally for like paperwork, but this really is just an idea. And it's really like Nintendo. We all know Nintendo is really bad at certain stuff like that, especially like DMCA and copyright and stuff like that. But some like a part of me is just like, how is this even legal? And again, it's legal because nobody thinks of it seriously, and there's an argument that maybe we shouldn't because it is just video games. But I just think of things like this, and I'm like, how is there any basis to even begin to patent ideas? Again, like if Sony were to be like, yeah, the Dutch angle is ours now, you can't use that in films anymore. Like, it's just such a weird concept to me. I don't understand it.
They did do stuff like that, like Sony Animations. I don't remember which movie it was. I think it might have been Spider-Verse. I think they
did they try and do the patent the double frame thing? Something
about the animation or the style. They tried to like say this is ours. No one else could animate it like that. I don't know if it was Spider-Verse or something similar to it, but I was like, how could you do that? And there was one of the things that they wanted to patent for Legend of Zelda here, which is literally the loading screen where you're traveling between 2 points, and they're like, when you're shown in the current location before you fast travel, they show the next location as you're traveling over there. They want to patent that as if that's like one hasn't been done before, which I'm sure it has at least once in some other game. But it can never be done again if this goes through, which is like, what the hell? It's the most tame, boring idea that anybody could think of, but you're trying to put a hold on it, which is crazy.
What a stark reminder that sometimes these companies view their these things as products and not art, things that cannot be replicated.
Absolutely. You know what I was just thinking too? This is again the separation between the business side of video games and the art side, because I guarantee you, animators, digital artists, gameplay designers, whatever, the actual people coming up with these ideas, I would bet money that they probably don't even think about locking that idea down. If anything, if I was an artist who came up with a really cool game design, something like this, I'd probably start thinking to myself, oh, what if this happens in this game? Like, this is totally the business side of things, like just commandeering the artist side of things. No artist has ever broad statements, but I just can't see an artist, myself being somebody who dabbles in creative stuff, like making something, thinking that something's cool and being like, no, I don't want to see anybody else even do something even inspired by this. Like, that's not how art works. It's a wheel that constantly revolves.
Yeah.
So whenever I hear stories like this, I'm like, the animators had nothing to do. They didn't walk up to their boss's desk and were like, patent this now. They're like, hey, look at this cool idea I just came up with. Isn't this cool? And then, the business guy is just like, all right, well, let me write up a patent. Like, so fucking stupid.
And like, there's more egregious things that I still don't think are patentable, like fucking genres, like Soulsborne genre. You think that FromSoft can fucking patent that? Like, that's insane. Like, to think about with how many clones or not clones, but like rip-offs of the Soulsborne genre. Like, that makes no sense to me to shut that stuff down. I don't.
And all it takes is one. And I know with the Soulsborne that there's been more than one, but all it takes is one clone game to be good, and now you've just justified the idea of sharing art and adapting art and all that stuff. And that happens all the time, right? Like GTA clones. There are so many GTA clones, like Watch Dogs 2. Watch Dogs 2 was a good game. It was a fun game. that game alone, not to mention all the countless others, like Mercenaries from Pandemic back in the day, like as soon as one of those games happens, it justifies the entire thing of like, okay, cool, this is what happens when you take the core idea and modify it, and you can build something that justifies its own kind of presence.
Yep.
Babylon's Fall.
Babylon's Fall.
Was that the Breath of the Wild clone that came out like PS5 release?
I know of the game. Is that what it
Or-
was? Was it a Breath of the Wild clone? I spent
Or am I
zero time
confusing with
looking at
another
it. I thought Babylon's Fall was the Chaos, or is that something else?
That's fun.
I don't know, man.
Origins.
Games have game titles are something else these days.
There's like Genshin Impact was labeled as a Breath of the Wild's clone when it first came out, and look how big that game has become. And I could see Nintendo being kind of pissy about that and being like, "What the hell? We did it first." I get that to an extent, but like the people that are working on these games, like Gage was saying, are just like, they're not thinking that way. They're thinking like, oh, this was such a cool idea. What if we did that in our game and make it cooler? And like art is just like so collaborative, and the people that are working on the Breath of the Wild games are probably rooting for the people working on the Genshin games too. And they're just not thinking like, wow, they fucking took my idea, because it probably wasn't one person's idea, even on the Nintendo thing. They're all like, what if we do this? And like they just build upon each other. That it's not one person's idea, like Nintendo is trying to make it out to be. It's like, this, we thought of this. This was us, even though it was like probably thousands of employees that put their minds together to think of this cool thing.
Could you imagine if they had, if Ocarina of Time had patented like Z targeting, like the lock on? No
Right.
other games like now would have that except for Zelda games, whatever, Nintendo games. That'd be crazy.
Three words in the middle of Rose spiel right there. Art is collaborative. Done. Stardew Valley wouldn't exist today if they decided to take all the ideas out of Animal Crossing and patent them right away. You know what I mean? Like, think of all the amazing games that are amazing in their own right, but only ran because other games before them walked. You know what I mean? Like, art is collaborative. Like, that's it. Ro just nailed the head. Like, that's it. Art is
and even
collaborative.
if it's just you working on the project by yourself, you're still sharing it with other people. Like, at the end of the day, someone else is going to consume, even if it's one other person, somebody else is going to consume what you made. So even if it is just you, if you don't want to say art is collaborative and you're just making it to share it with somebody, even if it is yourself or your sister or something. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. Just
even if you lock yourself in a room,
exactly.
you will be inspired by things that you've seen before you.
Yeah.
Like, even if unknowingly, right? This is the nature of the human brain. So that, like, art is collaborative. Doesn't matter if you're by yourself, art is always collaborative. Like, that's perfect. That's the perfect way to put it.
Immortals Phoenix Rising, another Breath of the Wild.
That was the one. That was the one I was thinking of.
And
Yeah,
that
not
was a good.
Babylon's Fall.
I heard positive buzz about that game. Like, it didn't sell well, but in terms of the people that played it, a lot of people said, like, this is the most fun Ubisoft game I've played in a while. I heard that repeatedly with Immortals Horizon.
And Ubisoft
whatever
did that
the
and
fuck it's
canceled it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like
How-
fun?
Naturally, yeah. Ubisoft was like, you guys are enjoying this?
Oh,
No,
fuck.
Oh no.
How sick would Dan look with like a sleeve tattoo? Like, you know, like a sleeve.
You'd look good.
Look at him in that shirt right there. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Good.
Yeah.
It ain't
I'd
happening.
smash.
It ain't getting any tattoos. All right.
Can't get into the kingdom of heaven with tattoos, Christian.
No,
Fuck.
that has nothing. I don't like tattoos at all. That's just my personal preference. I don't like them on me. I don't like the idea of needles going into me. No, I don't like it. Yeah, that looks cool. I'm perfectly cool with other people having them. I don't want a fucking needle in me. I'll be
Gage?
crying.
What's up?
You got some ink on your skin?
Hell yeah, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah, brother. And I'm getting this sleeve done too.
Yeah, Dan's next.
I'm getting a half sleeve.
PXN 250. Everyone, we're gonna go get tattoos, and
I would do
Dan's
it.
getting the biggest.
I would do it.
Dan's
I would
getting the
not
biggest.
do it.
I would 100% get a tiny little PXN somewhere that you'll never see. That would be
Oh.
awesome. That would be so cool. I would do it.
That would be very cool that you would do that.
Yeah, we would do
I
this.
I guess I just love all of us more than you do, Dan. That's
If this
fine.
video gets 4 likes, Dan will tattoo.
No.
If we can get 8 views on this,
You know what? 1 million views and I'll get it. There you go. It ain't happening. So, all right. PXN news of the week, item number 2. Red Dead Redemption ports are coming to the Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4. Gage is so excited about this. I'm kidding.
So lame.
August 17th. It is not a remake. It is not a remaster. It does not have a PS5 version. It's $50 US. Physical version is coming October 13th, so a couple months later. It does have Undead Nightmare, so there's a positive. And it is not 60 frames per second. It is 30.
No multiplayer.
And yes, correct.
This is so funny. Can you imagine, like, in the interview, it's like, so, does it have this? No. Does it have this? No. And then you get to the Undead Nightmare part. Well, you don't even mention that. And then it's like, well, it does have Undead Nightmare. Did you know that? Like, everything on this is so negative. So sad. I can't imagine how Gage is feeling.
I will say, I think Rockstar is taking a lot of the heat for this, which, I mean, I'm not saying that's not warranted, but I think that PlayStation or Sony deserves some of the criticism as well, because if their games were backwards compatible, we wouldn't be having this discussion because they wouldn't have released this on PS4. And I think that's my problem with the PS4 version. The Switch version, the game is still a great game. Like, the campaign is fantastic. If it runs well on the Switch, then I don't think it's necessarily egregious, as it's never released on a Nintendo platform before. And if there's like a Nintendo fan out there that doesn't buy the other platforms, I could see that making sense for that person. However, it's not to take away the criticisms of all the other things that we talked about and not, remastering or remaking or something more significant. I just feel like Rockstar's taking most of the brunt of this, and like there is other, things to think about as well. But
okay. True. No. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. It's just isn't the reason that it's not on PlayStation because of, like, who made that decision in the first place? Was it PlayStation, or was it that
for backwards?
Like, why? Okay, backwards. Is it on PlayStation? Red Dead 2 is on PlayStation 4. You're saying, or PlayStation 3 or whatever.
The
Red Dead 1 is on PS3.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's
and
not.
It never came to PS4
compatible
because of their issues with because they developed a PS3 gaming console so complicated that the people that made it couldn't even figure it out.
Hey, all right. Wait, hold on. You have 100 of those together to make a supercomputer that NASA uses. They did something all right. Let's not dig the Cell processor. Just kidding. That thing's ass. I would like to play more PS3 games.
I'm gonna push back a little bit on that, Dan. Those are two completely separate issues, I think. PlayStation is absolutely warrants heat for their backwards compatibility. That's completely separate, because this could be a whole different game. Like, I feel like those issues are you're not wrong, but I think that they're complete. Like, people are upset about Rockstar because of the game that Rockstar is packaging right now. Completely remove PlayStation and backwards compatibility outside of it. Pretend it's not even. Pretend you can't play it on Xbox, right? Like, the fact that Rockstar themselves said a few years ago that basic ports won't cut it, and that we need to offer our players, people aren't mad at Rockstar because they didn't live up to their own standards. People are mad at Rockstar because Rockstar is not living up to Rockstar's own standards that they set out, right? So there's clips of it going around. I'd be able to find it if I looked for it, but there was an interview where Strauss himself was saying, like, this is when it comes to ports, like, we can't just give them the bare minimum. We have to do XYZ. And then lo and behold, this game comes out and they're calling it a conversion, which is cool, because that means that even when Rockstar does the bare minimum, they're still trailblazers, because none of us have ever heard of a conversion before. This is a brand new thing. So that's kind of cool, right?
It was outsourced too to another company.
Yes.
I don't know who. It might have been the one that did the GTA remasters.
It was not. No, it was because that was Grove Street Games, and this was, I can't remember who it was, but it was not them. No, it was somebody different.
Oh, you're right.
But still, that decision was Rockstar's decision to not do it in house, and I just think it's extremely disappointing. Like, it was one of those things where I was preparing myself to be somewhat let down with just a remaster over the remake. But the fact that there was enough evidence going around that it could have been either or, and then for it to turn out to be neither, is incredibly disappointing. Incredibly disappointing.
My question to you: would you be upset then if, let's just say theoretically, this game was announced, this port was announced only
Right.
for Nintendo Switch, would you be upset then?
At $50, yes. I think.
Okay.
So, let me get back to so your point about the Nintendo Switch during your opening point. I totally agree with. Like, I think it's fair to bring that game and to charge for it to a platform that's never experienced it before. I would say for a 13 going on 14-year-old game,
That's fair.
that like $29.99 for the game plus Undead Nightmare is fair. I don't think I think $50 is steep regardless of bringing it to PlayStation or not.
That's fair.
And then no 60 FPS. Like, that's the thing. Like, there's things about this that it's not just design choice. This feels like one of those stories where it's like, no, it feels like we've caught a publisher being lazy, because there's no reason that even a PS4 version of this game that came out on PS3, especially because they didn't really touch anything except for the anti-aliasing, there's no reason that it can't run at 60 frames on PS4. There's zero reason.
Yeah.
Switch is locked to 30 frames. I get it. I totally get it. But I'm pretty sure if you boot this up on Xbox right now, it frame boosts to 60.
Does. Yes, it does.
Come on.
I think the
Come
difference there is Microsoft did the work for backwards compatibility for FPS boost, so Rockstar didn't have to do anything in that scenario.
And that is called catching a publisher red-handed. The reason that it runs well on them is because they did it. Like, what? How is that an excuse? Oh my god. I don't know. It's very disappointing. It's exciting to me because people on the Switch will get to experience this game, and I think, Rockstar, like we all say, they're one of the most talented studios. Like, the development side of Rockstar is one of the most talented studios out there. They make tech breaking, bleeding edge games. I think a bleeding edge game from 2010 is going to play really well on a modern day Switch, if that makes any sense. Like, I can imagine playing this game in handheld is going to feel pretty good. So that's exciting. I'm thankful for that, and I hope you pick this up, because I still think that even after Red Dead 2, there's something so incredible about the story of the first game. I still think it's Rockstar's best game. So I hope a lot of people pick it up and play it. But obviously, as a fan, very disappointed. I was hoping for, Red Dead 1 and Red Dead 2's engine, because half of that game already exists. But lo and behold, we do not get that.
Please do not support this business practice.
Okay.
Please do not support this business practice.
I
pick it up on sale is what I meant to say.
Pick it up on sale.
Gotcha.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, I was gonna ask: is the Xbox 360 version, does it have multiplayer?
It does. It
has
all of the
multiplayer,
features, and it runs
backwards.
So the Xbox version is $29.99 or $39.99, and Canadian, I think it's $29.99. And if you get the Undead pack, it's $10. So it's already $40 if you get both. Plus, it comes with multiplayer. So for the same version with less features, it still costs more on a different console. And they didn't do anything. It's not a remaster. It's literally just the game, right? So yeah, I could see why people are mad.
The only thing that is visible from the pictures that they changed is anti-aliasing, and I don't think they deserve credit for that, because you literally couldn't release that game and not touch the anti-aliasing. That would be a ballsy move that I don't even think Ubisoft would. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I've seen people talk about, like, oh, they bring up the anti-aliasing, like people that are trying to cover for them, and I'm like, you couldn't not do that. That's like, I don't know. I don't understand. To me, this is, they've done nothing to this game. And they're charging more money. Exactly, bro. They're charging more money for it than you would pay for it now, and you'd get more features and better performance. You
can actually buy the Game of the Year edition, which includes Undead Nightmares, for $25 physically. And then
welcome to the games industry, baby.
I will say too, Undead Nightmare, one of the greatest DLCs of any game ever made, too. So Undead Nightmare is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think a $30 price point would have made much more sense for the Switch, and PS4, I guess, subsequently. But yeah, not good.
No bueno.
Right.
Even if like it was $30 on PlayStation, I feel like Nintendo price. Like, maybe even Rockstar is like, no, it's fine. We'll keep it at 30, but Nintendo like, no, Switch tax, which is what they do for a lot of their games with like Hades and other random stuff. It's like, it's just more expensive because it's on this console.
It's like $5 more expensive to get Hades on Switch, I think, than it is on Steam.
Wow.
Is that actually true?
Yeah.
Wow,
I believe so.
that's crazy.
Yeah. If not for Hades, other games for sure.
That was the not only was the condition that it had to be $50, but the condition was, and it's never going on sale.
That's or that's
Rockstar
the
was
thing.
like-
Yeah.
God.
Hopefully, everyone votes with their wallet and they lower the price quickly.
True.
There we go. All right. Fantasy Critic check in real quick here, guys. Saliva Gang PDX, of course, Christian's team, has Bomb Rush Cyberpunk coming up August 18th. He also has Armored
shit.
Core 6 Fires of Rubicon coming August 25th. And then
Sex.
And then Rose got the Lockharts with a game called Sea of Stars coming August 29th. A lot of games coming.
Ooh.
I don't think, did anyone pick up any? Looks
Okay.
like so. All right. Moving in to the games. No, what you got for me? I almost said the games we're playing. That's been long gone. What you got for me, Daniel? What do I have for you? I feel like there's something new I've been playing, but I don't remember. So Halo, that's it. I don't know. Gage, what have we been playing? I forget already. My memory. I'm old.
Did you and I play a new game together? Is that what you're getting at?
I
'Cause if
thought
so,
we
I
did,
forgot
but maybe
to.
we didn't.
Okay,
I
well,
don't know.
I'm
We're too old men. Anyways,
yeah,
Halo
listen.
Infinite, of course, as always. I'm excited to play the update. I'll probably play a little bit tonight on the new update. I'm so excited. So excited. But, Ro, what you got for me?
Nothing. I have not been playing anything.
hell yeah.
I don't play video games as much as I
Well,
should or
what-
do.
what
used
you
to.
but what you got for me, Ro? Because I know you're doing some art over there on Roro Art.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
Ro holding out from us?
Sure.
You doing art over there?
I'm doing art over there. Yeah. Yeah, I made a new account to separate my art from my YouTube stuff. So I do Roro art on Twitter, not X. I don't know what X is. People keep calling
Right.
it that, but I don't know what that is. But yeah, I do Sonic art over there on Roro art if you want to follow me there.
Is
And
it safe for work?
It's for now. For now.
Okay, for now.
For now.
We haven't got the tails yet, so
Ooh,
Exactly.
big tails. Christian, what you got for me?
More Minecraft. You know,
No,
It's more Minecraft. Again, it's the most elaborate house we've made. What's up?
Are you smashing some blocks?
the house that Christian built.
That's a good joke, Gage.
Like,
We did have.
Come on.
We did have.
fuck you,
chains
Dan.
over- Dan, we had chains over the bed at one point.
Oh my god. It's a video game for children. You've got to stop.
No, hold on. It's rated E for everyone. That includes
Oh.
adults.
That's true. I mean,
Hmm.
we got you there.
That's
Yeah.
fair point.
The garden I made is insane. I would love to just record a minute of me walking through that and show you.
Oh God.
One of these
What's in the
days,
garden?
It's just a garden, man. You know, I have made an axolotl pond. There's like a, 50 block high waterfall with like glass behind it. Cool, flowers. Someone, Gage, can you go?
No chains in the
yeah.
garden?
What you
Let's,
got for me, Gage?
All right, let's explore the nuclear option here. I
Oh,
for $2 and something cents, I was given the option to upgrade my PlayStation tier for the next 15 days. And I was like, what does this get me?
Huh.
Well, because they let you upgrade halfway through your billing subscription for not a full amount of the thing. So I was like,
right.
Huh.
you want to upgrade, it's only going to cost you XYZ. And I was like, I looked at the games I got, and one of them was Ghost of Tsushima. So I was like, I've always wanted to play this. Let's give this a go. And I got about 6 hours in, and I'm here to say to you, whether you want to hear it or not,
Uh-oh.
that Days Gone is definitively a better game than Ghost of Tsushima, and it's not even a
Believe
little
it.
bit close.
I believe
It's
it.
Just-
not even a little bit close.
You
My
just made
God,
Ro leave the room.
you know what, Ro?
That's not a good game. Ghost of Tsushima is not a good game.
Is Days Gone a good game?
Yes.
Fair.
Christian's gonna say no. That's fine.
Fair.
Here is the thing. I feel like I was sold such a false bill of goods.
God
I
damn
was
it.
playing Ghost of Tsushima, and I was like, this is a collection of really small, neat things in an incredibly bland Ubisoft style open world. And I don't know. I was expecting so much pushback from Christian on this. I'm surprised.
No,
I'm
he-
surprised
he
you're there
hates
with
Ghost
me.
of
I'm with you, dude.
Yeah.
The only fun I had with that game was getting high and going into photo mode for hours. That was way more fun than the actual game and the narrative
damn
of
it.
it.
God
Yes.
damn it all.
Rose gonna
I
come over
actually-
there and beat you up, Gage. Watch out.
I'll allow it. Honestly, I've conceded years ago that if Ro ever gets physically violent with me, I've probably done something overwhelmingly to deserve it. But I will say that Ghost of Tsushima was an like. I actually kind of disagree with Christian a little bit. Like, I actually think the story in terms of writing was interesting, and it wasn't what I was expecting in terms of how personal it felt. But the performances, I
Sure.
was not. It was like the actual performances and the dialogue I wasn't a huge fan of. I thought it was interesting in terms of like how much they were committing to the themes of honor, and like most games are like, oh, this is how you sneak up and stab somebody in the face, and you just do it. In this game, it's like it gives you a lecture of why you shouldn't for 13 minutes before it tells you how
Okay,
to do
but
that.
then you still do it anyway, right?
Right,
the
no, exactly,
It's the Lara
exactly.
Croft thing of like, oh, I killed someone, and then you kill like 30 more people afterwards.
Well, and okay, if you
You
want
don't
to
have
be
to do it like
consistent,
that,
it's
though,
also the Naughty
right?
Dog problem with The Last of
Yeah.
Us Part 2. If you want to be consistent, that game I think is a masterpiece. It's not perfect. It also falls into the same problem. So yes, I agree with you totally. I just think that when a game,
Well-
because there are some games like that don't pay it any attention, right? And they try to say the narrative is against it. So the fact that this one, from what I saw, was actually setting up story beats surrounding that was interesting. But yeah, the dialogue, the actual moment-to-moment gameplay, even the sword fighting, from what I heard, I was like, oh, this is going to be really cool. I was playing it, and I'm like, For Honor came out like 10 years ago, and it has more in-depth sword combat than this in terms of like needing to block this direction, and if they swing from this. In this game, it's just, I was like, oh, this is just Assassin's Creed. This is just press Y to parry, or triangle to parry, and press X to slash, and hold X to do a super slash. Like,
You have to change your stances. Yeah, depending on the bad guy that you're facing.
You can
know-
change stances, but you don't have to. That completely ruined it for me. Because then I was like, oh, I'm just gonna pick the stance that looks the coolest.
Wait a
To be
And then
minute.
that's
fair,
what I
to be
did.
fair, Ro, I'm with you. Like it's not till late game where like you like the last area where like the 4 stances really come into play, and you have to like be changing between them because the enemies get tougher. So after 6 hours, Gage wouldn't have seen that. But
That's fair too. Yeah, I would concede to that as well.
I'm gonna have your back row and just say, objectively, it's a good game because on Open Critic, 84. That's all I'm
Open
saying.
critic.
well, the critics are wrong on this front.
I've
I
played.
must say it.
No,
Christian
thank
is
you, I appreciate it.
right over the critics.
They were wrong about that one fucking Order 1886 or whatever.
They were.
I don't think
That
they
was a
were
good
that
game.
high on that, were they?
For $5, that game was fucking great. 60, I don't know about that.
I bought it.
That was fair. That was fair.
They weren't that high on that though. That was a 62% on Open Critic.
That's what I'm saying, and they were wrong.
No, but that's
Oh.
what. Yeah, like comparatively, right? Like a 6 was it even worth a 62? I would say that, like, again, like Ghost of Tsushima, I can't take away from anybody's subjective experience. I can't say that the critics are wrong, but it's like we were talking about with the 97 from Baldur's Gate. Is it 97 because it's a perfect game all around and tons of people are gonna play it, or is it a high score because of what it does specifically? So did people? I think Ghost of Tsushima, because that's what I hear about it. All I ever heard about was it's gorgeous and the non-intrusive HUD, and I agree with all those things. But what I'm saying is, when you're playing the game, it's not fun.
Well,
It's not fun.
but in
It's not
Baldur's
fun.
Gate's sense of it, like the number of players isn't really relevant to how good it is. I don't.
No, that was not a great example, but like it's still somewhat in my head. It makes sense where it's like, is it a 97 because it's the greatest game of all time, or is it a 97 because it's a perfect game of what it tries to be? But that's a poor example from what I'm trying to say with Ghost of Tsushima. That's besides the point. Like, I feel like Ghost of Tsushima is, from what I've played, definitely overhyped. Again, a collection of small things in this game are really good. Like the wind guiding you and the HUD. The HUD is fucking fantastic.
The
But
title sequence, good.
title sequence is oh my god, the opening of this game, epic. I was like, hell yeah, brother, we're in. Let's go.
I
And
don't know
then
if it's
6 hours in, I'm like, where the fuck am I going? What am I doing?
now.
Should I,
I don't think
Yeah.
it's overhyped though, because I feel like it's more than positive, that game. At least
Shut
over
up.
time.
no, everyone is always like, "Oh, this is a must play." Ghost of Tsushima, like you have
Really?
to play that. Yeah,
I
I
see
mean, I
everyone
love it,
towards
but
that.
I didn't know that. Okay.
I mean, it also depends on your algorithm and your feed, right? Like it
Exactly.
definitely depends.
Okay, that's
because
fair.
everyone will get different things. But for me, I'm in the same boat as Christian, where I definitely see it being praised as, sucker punches back, baby, and I'm like,
Nah,
It's
Infamous
good.
Second Son is a
Good.
better game. It was a better game than fucking Ghost of
Yeah.
Tsushima. Second Son was like, and that's a hot take for sure. But Dan, I have. Okay, should I give another Ghost of Tsushima take, or should I just?
Yeah,
should we
you
just
know,
not?
you
Yes,
should.
give another one.
I'll out myself. I'll out myself. My problem was that like that game came out right after T-Loop Part 2, which is like, come on, let's consider like one of the greatest. Like, even if you don't like agree on the narrative front, like you can agree that at least like in terms of like the game they crafted, like that game feels really good to play. Like
Exact
it
opposite
feels-
of what we're
that
talking
game
about.
feels polished.
Mhm.
And you jump into Ghost of Tsushima. My problem is narrative wise, like they want to tell a nuanced tale. Some of it hits, some of it just does not hit. And then like when you're in the actual moment gameplay, like, ooh, this does not feel polished at all. This feels worse than Assassin's Creed sometimes. Like I do
Right.
not like being in this open world. It is not fun at all.
And that's a perfect example of how you can, like, again, you can tell, and like, again, video games are subjective, but to an extent there is an objective measurement you can take, where it's like when people start giving TLOU, Last of Us Part 2, I don't know why I said it like that, I'm fucking weird. And when people start giving it like a 4 or a 3, and it's like, you can completely hate the story, but when people call this game a masterpiece, it's like, again, moment to moment gameplay. You tell me the dodge mechanics of how your character perfectly animation blends into anything that you happen to dodge into, the sounds of like the twigs breaking as you walk over them, and the music and the score and the graphics. It's like that's when it's like, okay, there's an objective reality we have. Like, this game is a masterpiece.
I
Even
would
if you
say Ghost
fucking hate
has
the
those
story.
things too, though.
Okay,
I
all right, bro.
would,
Then
though. I
okay,
wouldn't say
bro.
that.
I gave Ghost of Tsushima a 3 out of 5 on Backlogged, which is like a conversion of, I guess, a 6 out of 10 if you want to double it. I guess you want to do that, which is an okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like Ghost, like not as good as The Last of Us. I would never say that. Say that.
Right.
But like the things that you described about The Last of Us, why it's good, I think Ghost does those things. Not as good. Like the music, I think is fantastic. I think it interacts with the environment well. There's not like any glitches or anything like that. And I thought the gameplay was fun. But again, like you said, subjective to everybody who plays it. But
Right.
Yeah.
Right. A 3 out of 5 is where I would put Ghost of Tsushima as well.
so, yeah, I honestly maybe I would too. I don't know if it's a 4 out of 5 or a 5 out of 5 game. I just don't know if I dislike it for the same reasons you do.
Right.
You know what?
Or the small things that, or the things that it gets right could also be more important to you. Like there is
Right.
absolutely a level of subjectivity where it's like, you are an artist. I could draw a stick
I'm
figure
not
if you
an
put a gun against my head. But so for somebody like you, like when you're walking through the environments, these things are probably hitting you way harder because you appreciate it from that corner of your brain, if you know what I mean, like from that kind of thing.
Maybe.
So that could be it.
Bro, I went to bat for you, but I
Thank
must
you.
confess that
I don't know.
I've only played about 3 or 4 hours of Ghost of Tsushima, so
But that's funny because Gage has played 6 and you're saying that you liked it. So
Well, Dan doesn't beat
Well,
any
I don't
game
know.
guys.
I
so.
actually didn't say whether I liked it or not.
God damn it.
So-
Are you backing me up or not?
No,
I'm
yeah, make
backing
up your
you.
goddamn mind.
I'm backing you up using statistics, but I never said
Okay,
my
thank you.
opinion on it.
Thank
so
you.
I'm just
That's
gonna
fair.
leave
That's
that
fair.
there. I'm gonna leave
Okay,
it.
I'm
there.
gonna guess you didn't like it because you only played 3 hours of it.
No comment. All right, moving into the topic of the show, guys. We had an interesting news story that came out, which talks about Avowed and its multiplayer ties. But there's also been a lot of scuttlebutt around the industry the last, I feel like, several years even, about multiplayer games and their importance in the industry and how important they are for a studio to try to get acquired, since apparently that's a new thing that publishers and developers are trying to get acquired, I guess, to make the money back from these acquisitions. However, this news story, Avowed, apparently was originally set to be a multiplayer game, which I thought was interesting because it's kind of the opposite of what happened with Redfall, because Avowed eventually now is back to being just a single player game, whereas Redfall took the
Redfall.
route of just becoming a multiplayer game that ended up being a disaster. But I thought this was an interesting story. Speaking in a documentary celebrating Obsidian's 20th anniversary, studio head and founder Fergus Uriquart had admitted to being wrong about after pushing for Avowed to be multiplayer. One of the things where I really pushed was that Avowed was going to be multiplayer, and I kept on that for a long time, he said. I know in the end it was the wrong decision to keep on pushing it. Head of development Justin Britch said earlier in the documentary that Obsidian showed Avowed to Microsoft early on in the acquisition process, and while Iriquart didn't mention Microsoft specifically, he explained that multiplayer added a lot of value. When we were still independent, I was selling it. It was a more interesting game to publishers, he said. And when you're asking 50, 60, 70 million, you've got to have something interesting to talk about. Multiplayer made it interesting. It was this idea of it's almost like peanut butter and chocolate, putting it together like, wow, it must be interesting. Of course, he goes on to say, we were too focused on co-op, and we were too focused on changing the way our pipelines work and the way we write conversations and the way we do quests. We weren't focused on the things we're best at, and so we did make a pivot on the game basically to refocus and make sure it was, at the end of the day, an Obsidian game and not something different. Which that's a very important quote, I think, because I think oftentimes a lot of developers do that where they kind of pivot away from what they're best at, and Obsidian is best at making amazing single-player RPGs. So very glad that they came to their senses, so to speak, but it is interesting hearing him say that multiplayer makes or adds so much value, and that's not the first time we've heard that either from other sources as well, including ZeniMax admitting in court that they were pushing multiplayer projects on their studios to be a better target for acquisition, which of course they were acquired by Microsoft as well. Bungie's acquisition was very much for the live service experience from Bungie for Sony. And again, another multiplayer component. Like, it's interesting seeing the scuttlebutt around multiplayer. Like, do you guys think that multiplayer really is that thing that adds a ton of value, or is it just like being like overvalued or overstated?
Value to the players or value to the business?
I guess both.
Well, but it's a different answer, I think. Like, because I think so. First of all, who is this quote from? Sorry, at Obsidian. Is this the?
This is the founder.
studio lead?
This is the founder. Furious. He's the studio head at Obsidian.
Studio head. Okay. First of all, big W to this guy, because studio heads, will say the white collar aspect of video games very rarely ever admits that they're wrong. Again, we were just talking about we all interpreted it differently, but the statement from DICE, right? This is what we wanted to do. Players didn't understand it. So from that statement to this statement, to me, that's totally black and white. Like, this is I think it's cool to hear him say, like, I tried to do this. It wasn't what it needed. I know that this was the wrong call. Very cool to see. And that kind of is one of those things that reaffirms my trust in Obsidian, because they seem to be a developer that, like you said, Dan, knows what they're good at and sticks to it. And so, first of all, I just want to say, like, that was really kind of cool to hear that he was talking so candidly about that. And then, like, from this is the contradiction between art and business. Like, from a business side, I do see how a multiplayer game would add value, especially during an acquisition, because, hey, if you acquire us, just so you know, we're either A, working on a single player game that is going to take 3 or 4 years, and it's going to sell maybe 2 or 3 million copies at full price. Or, hey, come acquire us. We're working on a multiplayer game. It's going to have 4 seasons a year. Each season is going to have a battle pass, XYZ. Like, from that mathematic breakdown, I could see how if you were trying to get acquired by a studio or by a publisher, that's your main goal, how you could advertise that as a way to incentivize, like, hey, there's going to be money coming in steadily from our project, instead of creating a thing, releasing it, and then kind of dwindling profits after that. So from a player standpoint, I think it entirely depends on the game. Like, I think I would get more value out of a single player Obsidian game, because I'm the type of person that would go in and replay it and make different decisions. as opposed to if they added a co-op mode that was half-baked and you'd play it for maybe 4 or 5 hours with your friends and then never touch it again. Like, it's tricky when it comes to the player side of things. I don't know that multiplayer necessarily increases playtime, but then again, you have games where the multiplayer was expected to not be good and it ended up being fantastic, like the first Last of Us game with Factions. Factions was amazing. Super great game. And so I mean, yeah, it's from a business standpoint though, if we're analyzing it from that way, I could totally see how there would be a logic to saying that your game's multiplayer in a way to sort of butter up the person who's acquiring you, and kind of like hey, there might be money coming in steadily from this game that we're going to, have as a live service multiplayer title.
When Dan first brought this up, I was really thinking back to the late aughts, early teens of like, all right, Halo and Call of Duty changed the landscape of gaming, where everything the games had to have multiplayer included because it was, dependent on player retention. They want to buy this game and like, Uncharted 2 has multiplayer, Uncharted 3 has multiplayer. Like they want people staying in there, right? And so, and it's all about player retention. But yeah, I think the smart thing that Gage brings up, and it leads back to the acquisition end, is like fiscal. It's all regarding money. And to me, this is like the Fortnite effect. I'm kind of blaming it on Fortnite, but like it's very much like, how can we maximize profits by like stimulating gameplay and like making things interesting, where people are like, a live service game basically, right? And yeah, I think when you look at the kind of market, like I'm thinking about PlayStation because that's kind of like where I'm thinking about live service games. Like, yes, they had just acquired a bunch of people, and a lot of their multiplayer studios, or sorry, their AAA studios, first party studios are now making live service games. And why is that? Because of the money front. And I think the current strategy for these kinds of publishers is like, let's just see what sticks. Because if one doesn't, one will, and hopefully that's enough of a cash cow for us to like justify the losses we'll have to like recuperate just with this one success. And yeah, I think that's yeah. Oh, multiplayer being keeping things interesting. I mean, for sure, for even like players, like if something is interesting, people will stream it. People have their eyes on it. More players are coming in. More people spending money, and that's just the current cycle of it. I think just that's the zeitgeist of where we're at right now with game studios, for the most part.
Yeah, I would say I agree that I think multiplayer does make a studio more purchasable or desirable, I guess, is for acquisitions. GTA Online, Rockstar is not up for sale for anytime soon, but I think like that aspect of GTA definitely made its life cycle as long as it was, and it being on the top 10s of all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure other studios look at that and think, oh, man, I wish we could do something like that. Right. But what you're saying earlier with Obsidian was the developer, right? Of this Avowed?
Yes.
Saying, and the spokesperson there, I already forgot the gentleman's name, but him saying that this was not a good idea for us and the game that we're making, which is good. And I think that's usually true if it's not the artists who think that. Like, if it's ever the business that is like, you guys should make the multiplayer, like you were saying with what was the other game, the Redfall. Like, I don't think that was what's their faces. I'm forgetting everybody's names. Who developed Redfall? Arcane. I don't think it was Arcane's idea to do that. But when a studio is like, okay, I think it's time we do something different, and they think that, and it's not like the business heads are telling them do something different, it usually is a good idea for them, and it turns out well. So I don't think it's bad for a studio to go out of their comfort zone and do things that they are quote unquote known for and do something a little bit different. Sometimes it turns out well, sometimes it doesn't. But it's not inherently a bad thing. It just make sure that it's being done for the right reasons. Right. Is always the caveat.
And you guys made great points. Like, it's always about the money. Like in Row, specifically what you were saying about GTA Online for GTA 5, that game like completely changed the landscape. I feel like for like continuing to update a game and continue to ask for more money each time you update it, and like Christian, you said the Fortnite effect, but like I feel like Fortnite took a lot of things of what GTA Online did so well with seasonal updates and stuff like that, and kind of morphed it into like this even further thing of let's sell a whole bunch of shit on the side, as well as like this battle pass that comes consistently every season to like keep the money flowing. Like it is crazy to me like how influential like certain games are to like the future of what happens in the industry. But yeah, that's crazy. And like there are antitheses to this as well. Like I put in the doc Insomniac, for instance. Insomniac was making some like banger games at one point in their life, and then they made a not so great multiplayer game called Fuse, I think is what the name was. And after that game, they kind of went back and they're like, well, what do we do great? And they made Sunset Overdrive, which was a fantastic single player experience. And then obviously they went on to make Spider-Man, which is another fantastic single player experience. So sometimes like I feel like it's kind of like what Fergus said, do what you do best. So like if your studio doesn't make great multiplayer games, like I get that, you know, multiplayer may seem like it may make you more valuable, but if your company is not like well adept with making multiplayer games, it may not add value. It may lose value saying that your studio is making a multiplayer game. So like, yeah, yeah, it's interesting because I think it's like a case by case basis that like these studios just, yeah, let's just add multiplayer and we'll be acquired maybe. It's like, well, that's a good idea.
It's also like just what's going to get you funding. You know, what are the buzzwords? Like same thing with like Hollywood studios. Like what's going to get you funding to make a movie, right? You gotta hit what's current in the zeitgeist.
For sure. Interesting thoughts. And is it the right play for the developers to be acquired even? I don't know.
No.
I mean, if that's what they want, you know, if that's what if people are looking to, you know, secure funding without having to worry about how much money they'll get for a project, you know,
that's true.
And it could be, you know.
Yeah. That's the one. I think that's the one thing that it's easy to forget about when we have these discussions is that video games are unique even apart from movies and TV, in that the funding and the investment required to actually start and finish the project is way more than a film, or if you're somebody who's trying to get a movie started or trying to make a TV. I mean, TV show, you could argue TV shows actually probably come closest to video games in terms of if you're doing a big budget TV show versus a big budget video game, they're probably going to get similar. I'd still say the video games will be more expensive. So it's, if you're an independent studio and you want to make a sort of high caliber, ambitious game, then it is a lot of money that you need to be able to have either upfront upfront and still be able to make sure that you are able to cover all of your employees, make sure that they're still paid and they can keep a roof over their heads and still make the game for you, right? So in terms of that, it's like you said, Dan, it's a case by case basis where I used to be very anti-acquisition, you know, there should be as many indie studios as possible. But in reality, it's like if you're the person in charge of all your employees and they're looking to you for financial security, it's easier said than done to say just stay on your own, especially when your game that is going to take 4 years to make and it's going to cost $100 million. If it doesn't sell well, then that's the last game you're making, and you might not be able to pay that final year salary for all your employees if you don't get that return back. So video games, I would just like to, just remind everyone, video games are very unique in that sense. It's a lot of money upfront, and success is not guaranteed. So, whereas you could make a movie if you're an independent studio, you could make a movie for quite literally a fraction of the amount of money, and you could do it in a fraction of the amount of time. And if it fails, it's unfortunate. You can move on to the next one. But video games, 3-4 years commitment, and that money, I mean, if you only have 3 or 4 developers, that's what, $50,000-$60,000 times 4. So I don't know. It's tough.
Ooh.
Indeed.
I couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it.
Me either.
I also couldn't do it.
So,
actually, I could probably do it.
we aren't Oh, I was gonna say we aren't making a game anytime soon, but I guess Gage maybe. I don't know. After that comment, I expect to see the next Fortnite out there made by Gage Dempster.
You're gonna see Halo 6, and it's gonna be
But-
perfect.
Thank you.
Finally, a good Halo game. Thank you, Gage.
Oh my god. Thank you again to everyone joining us live on YouTube and Twitch, as well as podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. Thank you, Ro. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Gage. I am Daniel, and this has been Podcast PXN, and we are out. Much love, and keep on gaming.
See ya.